Thank you so much for joining me here for this yoga session. Hopefully, life is finding you well and you're taking care of yourself. Remember to gather all the things you need, a yoga mat, or at least as much room as a yoga mat, but definitely the stickiness of a yoga mat helps. So if you haven't invested, I recommend. And then blocks in order to help with support and lift, and then a blanket to also help with cushion and support. So find that comfortable seat, letting yourself settle in on your breath, closing your eyes if that feels comfortable, and just taking a moment to be with your breath and connect to your true, authentic self, which your true, authentic self is that of kindness, compassion, and love. And if you struggle with those feelings sometimes for yourself and for others, which we all do, the more that you release from all the expectations and what you've been taught to just connect to what you know, you settle into this rhythm. And that rhythm helps to keep you connected. And that connection is where you pull from when you need it, where you find your strength and your stamina, your resilience. It's all inside. But you get there by not thinking about it, not really actively doing anything other than slowing down, setting aside let the breath be as full and deep as feels good to you. You're filling up the lungs on the inhale, releasing fully on the exhale. Let the breath get as full and deep as feels good. As you fill up the lower third of your lungs, press your navel into the space in front of you. Fill the middle third of your lungs, fill up, feel the ribs move up and apart. And the breath fills into the upper third. Feel your heart move up in your chest. And then you exhale, heart and chest release, ribs move down and together. And then you pull that navel back and up into your body. And then the inhale happens again. You fill up, navel, ribs, chest. Exhale fully, chest, ribs, navel. Let that breath help keep you connected to the present moment, to your true, authentic self. In the present moment, in that connection to your true, authentic self, that is where you find the strength, the coordination, the balance, the flexibility, the grace, the humility, all that you are seeking. Press down into your mat. Feel that connection to the floor, the building, the ground, the building it's built into, and then the world that connects us all. So think about engagement, or actively press yourself down, squeeze the glutes, flex of the feet, press those knees away. Try to connect the part of your body that is right next to the floor a little bit closer. And then on your exhale, lift yourself right up out of that place of support. Stretch yourself up into that space around you, all that space you're meant to take up. And here you think about engagement, or you actively press yourself up through gravity, crown of the head, tops of the ears, coming closer to the sky. And then feel that gentle pressure on the tops of your shoulders to lengthen that space at your neck. still, you're breathing in full and deep, navel, ribs, chest. Exhaling fully, chest, ribs, navel. And you're feeling the support in that lower hip girdle in the seated position, and then you're feeling the lift in that upper shoulder girdle. And that helps to lengthen your trunk so your lungs have all that space to move. And I know I focused on the front of the body, but your lungs move out three-dimensionally back and sides as well. And recognize that you are learning to trust or to keep with the practice of trusting. If you're past the learning, you do trust yourself, but you still have to reinforce it. So you're always trusting yourself and what feels good to you. If I lead you into something that does not benefit you or serve you, please know that your choice to not do it is exactly what needs to happen. Your hands can come to your heart. I encourage you to set a personal intention for the practice. And then with that, and this idea of connecting to with what's in, feeling that support, that connectedness, that anchoring in, and then also that lift and that stretch, all from within. Try to hold that as your intention as we move. Staying connected to your breath, the present moment. And when you find yourself struggling, soften. On your next inhale, lift and reach up above your head. Exhale, pull down into heart center 2 more times. Inhaling, exhaling, 3rd time. And then let yourself unwind from that seated position. Take a moment to drop side to side so you start to wake up that body that might be feeling a little, it was starting to feel uncomfortable the longer we sat. Make sure you swirl your ankles around gently. If your feet are tingly, your toes are tingly, try not to let them get tingly. Try to move yourself around before they get tingly. And that's one of those things that you don't ever get used to the tingly, because actually the tingly is not that really good for you. But you get used to sitting in that position a little bit more the more you practice. But find that comfortable place for you, and we're going to come back to that comfortable place. You're finding that base, and your legs don't have to be pulled right into you. They can be out a little bit, and you're going to start to make some circles there on your sitting bones, letting your whole upper body move as a unit. This is coming forward into that hinged position. Keep engaging your legs. Keep pressing down with your whole leg from the foot to the glute. The next time you come forward, let yourself rotate, inhaling and exhaling. And yeah, my legs are not really close to me, so I've got a nice big base. And then you're going to pause in that neutral position. Hands are going to come gently behind the head. I'm not even interlacing the fingers, they're just dancing behind the ears. Keep those elbows wide. Inhale, lift that heart, pull. Maybe that face looks up a little bit. Pull those elbows back. Those blades can squeeze together gently. That's the inhale. Exhale. Now pull those blades apart. Pull those elbows in and start to move through that movement. It's a cat and cow movement. Inhaling and exhaling. You're gently pressing your head into your hands, and you're gently pressing your head or your hands into your head. So you're doing both. Let yourself breathe full and deep, and then find yourself back in that neutral position. Let your arms come down. Take a couple breaths. Make sure that your legs are in a comfortable position, always taking a moment to rearrange if you need to, and then finding that connection, pressing down, finding that lift, reaching up, all coming from within. Hands are going to come gently to the shoulders now. Pull those elbows back, and then those shoulder blades can come together, a gentle squeeze. Keep lifting yourself up as you press yourself down, and then start to rotate there in that upper body. You're keeping your lower body, think navel dimples down in like cement, and then navel dimples up, or really heart and blades. You're rotating, and your head can be going with your arms, or it can be looking straight ahead. It just depends on what feels good to you. Do this a couple more breaths. Keep lifting those elbows, and then you're going to let it come to rest. Hands at your sides, or if you want to bring them to your heart or on your belly, or heart and navel, whatever feels good. Just receive that energy that just went through your body. Noticing the blood flow that's starting to move, that's starting to get into some nooks and crannies of your body that don't typically get that blood flow or haven't gotten that blood flow for a bit. So now the more you breathe full and deep, the more that oxygenated blood is going to run into those places and help to open and make you stronger. And then when you're ready, bring yourself around onto those hands and knees. Take your time getting there, doing whatever you need. I'm going to take off, I think, my sock layer, because that downward dog definitely is coming. So make sure, but you don't have to take your socks off now if you don't want to. And that's one of those things, I start with my socks because I like socks, but doing yoga barefoot, it really does help to connect. All right, press yourself back into your child. This is where you are finding that connection, pressing all the way back with your whole self, and then finding that length and that reach with your whole self, coming into that space in front and around and beside you, inhaling and exhaling, breathing full and deep. Connect to your navel, that place where you first started, and pay attention to that place right behind your navel, right in front of your tail, in the very middle of your body, and be aware of that place as the beginning of you, right? That navel is where you started, and bringing your awareness down into that part of your body and paying attention to how you move from that part of the body, and how that part of the body helps to keep you lifted and supported, and also helps to keep you grounded down. That is a powerful, powerful tool and life skill that you can take with you off your mat, and it helps to benefit you all the time. All right, lift yourself up into your table. You're finding that active table. Hands come underneath those shoulders. Knees walk underneath those hips, and you are holding yourself in that center place right there behind your navel. I'll take this sweatshirt off because I can see, since it's kind of loose, it's kind of hanging down. So come to that place of support, holding yourself right behind your navel, right in front of your tail, in the very middle of you. So you have to activate that lower hip girdle. Feel those hip flexors come forward, and you're not hyperextending those elbows. And after you make those little adjustments with that lower pelvis, maybe doing a few little baby cat and cows back there to find that place of support, then do those baby cat and cows with the upper body, letting those shoulder blades come together and then pressing them apart, and then coming into that place of support, pressing yourself back, and then also lifting and reaching yourself into the space around you. Start to move that cat and cow more in the middle of your back, inhaling and exhaling, breathing full and deep. It helps to inhale on that cow, dropping that belly, swaying that middle back,
And then exhale, pull that navel up and lift yourself up. Don't lose that sensation of heaviness in your lower girdle and then lightness in your upper girdle. Inhale and exhale. And actually, it's lightness in the front of your body and heaviness in your back body. It's always this, it's always everything, always together. You can never separate out. You always need both. Yoga helps you connect to that. A couple more breaths. And then you're going to pause in that neutral position to then once again press yourself back into child. So walk your knees as much as part as feels good. If it does not feel good to reach your arms forward, reach them back by your feet. You are totally in charge. And even if you are holding yourself in your core, you might feel it in your delicate wrists or fingers, and make sure that you are treating them with care. You're never harming or being harsh to a joint. You're always paying attention and never going into hyperextend mode with your elbows or your knees. Inhaling and exhaling, staying with that breath and letting everything come from that very middle place. So feel yourself press down from that middle place and feel yourself reach up from that middle place and then back into that active table. Left leg's going to go back. Keep those hips nice and square. Reach those right arms forward. Shoulders are still square. You're holding yourself in that center. Inhale, exhale, pull that knee and that nose. Pull up into that cat. And if it doesn't feel good to do both, you can always just do one. Inhale and exhale. And then you're going to lift and reach. Right hand's going to come down. Let that left knee come towards your left arm. Keep pressing into both of those arms evenly from your shoulders. Stay lifted in that navel. Keep that foot and that knee in the same plane. So that means the foot's not higher or lower. And then feel that gentle engagement as you pull towards that left arm. And here's where you're going to let the energy build just a little bit more. And then sweet, sweet relief. Press it back to straight behind you again. Pressing through that heel. Inhale and exhale. And then you can bend that leg, and then you're going to take that right arm and reach for that foot. You don't have to get it. You don't have to, grab the ankle. If you're never hurting yourself, try to keep things lined up as much as you can. That means the knee and the hip, and then that left leg comes down, that right arm comes down, and you once again press yourself back into that child. Let yourself completely reset. Always remembering that the movement and the rest are equally important. It is so important that you move and breathe, and then you rest and breathe. Both are always so important. So back into that stable table. When you're ready, now you're going to press that right leg back. And if you did the other side, right, just make sure that you manage that. Left arm comes forward. Take an inhale. Exhale. Pull that knee to that elbow a few times. Coming into that cat. Inhaling and exhaling. Stay lifted in that place right behind your navel, in front of your tail. Do not hyperextend that elbow of that arm that is holding you up. And then you're going to pause, that both hands press down, and then you're pulling that knee, that right knee, closer to your right leg, or right arm. You are breathing full and deep. Inhale and exhale. Takes a lot to keep your body in this place of complete support where that knee is right underneath that hip. Keep lifting. Remember, see how my foot's higher? You want to, that makes it harder. And then press it back for that sweet, sweet relief. Inhale and exhale. And then you're going to bend and reach. don't strain. This is still kind of early in the class. And then come back out to press back into that child, completely reset. So feel how it feels in your body. Inhale and exhale. Breathing full and deep, letting yourself reset. Make sure that you are taking hydration breaks as you need them. So if I typically never remind you to take a drink, you'll see me take a drink, so I want you to take one too. Make sure you're always doing what's best for you. And remember, you're in charge of your level of exertion. If I am doing too much, then back off for you, or if I'm not doing enough, then add on for you. Always making the choice to do what is best for you. And you are the only one that knows the answer to that. And like I said, yoga helps you figure that out. And if you are still figuring that out, keep practicing. And if you've got it figured out, like, okay, this is what works for me, right? Keep practicing so you can remain confident in that. And that, my friends, makes all the difference. So when you master, you know that you still have to practice. So that's what we're doing, is we are practicing. We are practicing staying connected to our breath and our body. Come into that table, bend those knees, flex, curl those toes, keep those knees bent, lift yourself to your downward dog. Inhale and exhale, staying with that breath, full and deep. Come to your knees whenever you need to. Play around with being on your toes because that feels really good to stretch, but you want to rest in on your balls. You're trying to find the balls of your hands and the balls of your feet, and then bring the heels of your hands down, trying to protect that delicate wrist joint, and then bring your heels down. They may or may not touch. You're still trying to protect your delicate joints. Elbows not hyperextended. Keep those knees bent so you can bring that middle part of you, that place right there behind your navel in front of your tail, a little bit higher up into the sky. Your shoulders are out of your ears. Your heart is lifting up into your chin, and you're pulling those blades gently down and tucking them in, not pulling the blades, not squeezing them together. Let yourself breathe full and deep, and then take your time to make your way to the front of your space. Whether you drop down to hands and knees or you walk up, and if you want to use blocks or a chair or a wall, you're coming to that forward fold position. Find that place of support. Play around with coming up on the balls and toes and then back on the heels, using something so you don't fall back. But I want you to feel that sensation of almost coming forward in a somersault and then almost falling back. And you are looking for that place right there in between. So you want to find it in your body, and you then are in your forward fold. That's your forward fold position, this great big hinge at your hips, not a bend at your belly, and you are keeping your knees bent in order to help with that hamstring and low back. And you are swaying and moving as much or as little as feels good. Eventually, you're going to come into your forward fold position after you sway and move, and then find that connection to your breath. Inhale halfway, flat back, keep those knees bent. Exhale, reach for the toes. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, reach for the toes. You always really kind of keep a flat back, but you're coming up halfway into that flat back, and then exhale for the toes. The next time we come up, we're going to come into that great big reverse swan dive. Unless you feel dizzy, then come up in steps. Oh good, my head didn't get cut off. Reach up above your head into as much of a back bend as feels good to you, and then you come to stand in your mountain. You are engaging, pressing down into your mat, finding that connection with your balls and your heels, pressing down with the four corners or the tripod, whatever makes sense for you. in order to find that place of stability. Lift your toes, spread them wide, and bring them down one piggy at a time for that gentle connection. And then you're lifting yourself up, kneecaps up into thighs. Thighs are plugging right into that lower girdle. So this is where you engage back body, glutes, and framework pull down. And then front body, hip flexors, and framework pull up. So the muscles and the framework pull up. Think navel, dimples down, solid base, and then navel, dimples up. You are stretching and lifting and reaching right out of that place of connection and taking up all that space that you are meant to take up. Think about trying to press the crown of your head up to the sky, and the crown is back on the back of your head, and not the very back, the top back. And then you're keeping the chin parallel and the nose parallel to the floor. There's a engagement in those shoulders, those blades gently tucked together. So here's where that upper girdle, heart lifts, and then the back of the girdle, the blades come down. So navel, dimples, lower body, heart, blades, upper body. You're always light in the front, and you're definitely connected in the back. You're definitely connecting with the lower, and you're lifting, but you recognize when you connect to that, it's all you. You are spreading out from that middle, and try to feel that. All right, reach into as much of a back bend as feels good to you, and then let yourself swan dive into that forward fold. Bend those knees as much as feels good. Inhale, halfway, flat back, coming back down to step back into your plank, knee down plank. Bear your weight. You're always protecting yourself. Keep with that bearing of your weight as you drop to the floor. Keep pressing that tail down, and then lift with your heart, whether it be into that fuller cobra, up dog, or you stay in a baby cobra, and then protect your low back. Decide how you want to come back into your downward dog. Maybe you want to come from knees. Maybe you don't even want to come to downward dog. Inhale and exhale. Take your time. Make your way to the front of your space. Forward fold, halfway, flat back, back down to the floor. Lift and reach. Remember to sit back with that whole body, and then lift and reach with that whole body. And then you are swan diving down, staying with that protection of the low back and hamstrings. Halfway up, flat back, put the weight in those back pockets. Exhale back to the floor to step back into your plank, knee down plank, or table to release down to the floor. Keep those shoulders out of your ears. As you lift into cobra, stay with that sensation of shoulders out of your ears. As you lift into downward dog, take another big inhale and exhale, and then once again, make your way to the front of your space. And remember, you can always drop down to hands and knees in order to do that. Make sure you feel solid, halfway, flat back. Exhale for the floor. Inhale for up above your head. Take up all that space. Exhale, come back down for the floor. Find that hinge, find that length. Halfway up, flat back. Halfway down, flat back. Stepping back into the plank, knee down plank, or table to release. Keep your girdles engaged. Lift up, downward dog. Inhale and exhale. That was our third. 2 to 3 deep breaths, and then make your way down to your child, completely resting, inhaling and exhaling. Your heart rate probably came up if you were doing that. Mine did. That's where you are managing your heart rate. If it's too much, you don't have to do as much as what I'm doing. But I am going to raise your heart rate a couple more times in a little flow up into a warrior series. But we're going to start from that downward dog, or of course this could be table, this is going to be similar to what we did on our knees earlier. If you did lift a downward dog, we're going to lift that right leg, let that right leg come up into that three-legged dog. Try to feel that right knee come up to the sky and stack those hips on top of each other. Keep that left knee bent. Protect that knee so much. And you might want to step your foot a little bit closer just to bring your stance in a little bit in order to feel a little bit more supported. And this is where you are coming and gliding into a plank to pull that right knee into your nose. So it's a inhale into the knee to the nose, pull the plank. Exhale, press back up into that three-legged dog. Inhale, pull yourself forward over those arms and then press yourself back. So you are pulling that lower body is where what's moving. It's just not your leg coming through. Remember, you don't have to do this. The next time we bring that right leg through, we're going to pop it down in front of us. Boop. And you might need to drop that knee and walk your leg forward. It might take a couple steps. It does not matter if you cannot do that. It's all about, though, you can keep practicing that to see if you, and it's all coming from that navel. All right, you're in a railroad tracks, right foot, left foot. On those railroad tracks, right ball, left balls connected, right heel connected, left heel lifted, but you're pressing back through it. Trifecta of the balls is your body. You lift into your crescent, inhale and exhale. Keep trying to keep those hips square. If it does not feel good to have your arms lifted, then keep them at your heart or your hips. And you've got that nice big bend in your right knee, and you are pressing through the ball of your right foot, but that right knee is trying to go to the pinky toe side. Ooh. Inhaling and exhaling, staying with your breath. All right, we're going to open up into that warrior two. So this is where you lift yourself and then drop, so you can drop that back heel so you can rearrange your hips, so now they're square to the long edge of your space, still with the big bend in that right knee, still engaging with the ball of that right foot, not the toes. And you really want to make sure you get the whole ball from the big toe to the little toe, so that's underneath the toes. That right knee has a tendency to go towards the big toe. You want to keep gently pulling it to the right, to the pinky toe. And you're doing all that by rotating the muscle on the inside. And then you are lifting yourself straight up out of your lower body. Not reaching forward yet. We will reach forward, but I want you to stay lifted first. So it's all about finding that length with those girdles. And then let yourself hinge into that side angle, whether you bring that hand down or you rest that elbow, that top left arm reaches, inhaling and exhaling. Stay with your breath, full and deep. Back into that warrior two to flip into that reverse warrior. Find that length all down that right side, and then gently lift yourself from that into that reverse triangle, and then let yourself float into your regular triangle. Keep trying to find that place where you're pressing down with your whole self, and then lifting with your whole self to find that place that you can, there's a lot of engagement in that right glute. You keep trying to pull it down, and you are lifting your upper body from that place. Keep trying to bring that left hip up to the sky. Inhale and exhale. You're going to look down at that right foot. You're going to have that right leg be what supports you, so make sure you're not going to hit your head. So if you need to move that right leg, please do. You might also need to pull your left leg up a little bit in order to feel supported. Use your hands on blocks to lift. Inhale and exhale, breathing full and deep. So you are standing in that standing side split. Inhale and exhale. Keep trying to bring your nose to your right knee. Keep that right knee bent and press those feet away from each other. This is where you've got to find that balance. All right, those right knees are going to bend more so those left toes can come down in that runner's lunge. Step back into a plank, knee down plank, and decide, do I want to go through that flow or do I just want to press up to that downward dog? You are always in charge. Keep trying to pay attention no matter what you are choosing to your girdles, front and back body, working together in order to keep you supported. And then we're going to do that. I'm going to turn around. We're going to do that knee to nose, and you're pulling yourself first you're going to come into three-legged dog. Make sure you feel supported. Maybe pull your stance in a little bit so you choke up. So you always want to feel like you have control. And then you're going to inhale, pull in, and then exhale, press back. So make sure that you are pulling yourself over those arms. You're not just pulling that leg in like this. See, this is the difference. This is not what I'm leading. This might be something, but what I am leading is pull into your core as you pull forward into that plank, and then bring that left foot forward, step it forward, inhaling and exhaling. So if that how I showed you that other way, that's like that table position. So if that is what serves you, then come down to table. But if you are in that downward dog, I want you to try to pull into that plank. That is what is happening, and it really does help make you stronger. But of course, you're always still the boss. Railroad tracks, balls engaged, press through those heels, keep that core engaged, right? You're trying to square and bear down with the back body and lift up with the front body, coming into your crescent lunge. Inhale and exhale, lifting that back kneecap in order to keep that leg completely engaged. Breathing full and deep. You're always in charge of where your arms need to be in order, like if you even need to bring it to a table or blocks in order to bring yourself into that warrior two on the other side, take your time. Inhaling and exhaling. We hung out in this warrior two because I want you to feel that solidness. Remember, the balls are engaged. That left big toe or that left knee has a tendency to go to the big toe. But remember, you want to rotate it, and you're doing that by rotating the muscles in your leg inside. You're rotating that lower up to the top, and then that top down to, so it's like it's always in a circular motion, and that helps to rotate to that side. And then lift yourself up out of that solid base. And then when you feel supported, you hinge into your side angle, whether it be with the arm down or the elbow on the thigh, and you're not putting all your weight, like you're not collapsing. I want you to stay lifted. And then you lift into that warrior two to go to that reverse warrior. And then you take a breath or two, and then you're lifting with that center. That's what's straightening that leg. It's not just me straightening my leg. It's me lifting with my whole center to come into that triangle. Breathing full and deep. And you want to try to get your whole front body square to the long edge, your whole back body square to the back edge. Make sure that your stance is not too far apart and you feel supported. Find those balls and heels. Find that place right behind your navel, and then connect your heart to that as you lift. And that's the sensation, staying connected, heart, navel, and then resting on that left leg. That's what's got you, that's what you're holding you up. but you are lifting with your center, not hyperextending that knee that you are standing on. Inhale and exhale. Stay with your breath, and then very, very gently you come back into that runner's lunge. You always do whatever feels good to you. Stepping back and deciding, do I want to do that flow? Keeping everything engaged as much as you can. And then lifting to that downward dog, breathing full and deep. You didn't have to do the flow. You could have just went to the dog. And of course, you could have just went right to your child, which is the next place that we're going, is to child. And let yourself rest there in your child, inhaling and exhaling. Stay with your breath. Stay with how it feels in your body. Let yourself press back into that child. Make sure those legs are walked as wide as part as feels good. Inhaling and exhaling. And then lift yourself. I'm going to lead through regular pigeon. If you want to do a different pigeon, like laying on your back and doing that figure 4, or coming into double pigeon or fire log, there's always that. I am going to have cushion. I'm going to face. I'm going to use blocks. Where's my other one? Oh, there it is. So I'm actually going to bring the left leg forward first. Typically, yoga teachers, and we always do the right side first. But let's bring that left leg first, whether it be through that downward dog or that table. And remember, if you're doing another variation, you are always protecting yourself. So that left leg comes forward, and then I am scooting my whole self back, still trying to keep everything square to the floor. That includes chest and hips, front body square to the floor. Keep trying to bring that right side, that right butt cheek, or if you've got your left leg, that's what you're doing, your right butt cheek, right hip flexor forward, left butt cheek, left hip flexor back. You don't want this work to be done in your low back. This is all happening in your glutes and that framework there, not your low back. Your low back should be feeling like it's on a vacation. And then let yourself release forward into the resting posture that you want to try to maintain for a few breaths here. We've worked up some really good oxygenated blood. So let's take a few breaths and moments here in this big stretch right at that big hip girdle where there's just so much going on. Those are your movers and your stabilizers that's going on in your hip. And once you separate your right side from your left side and they work together but separately together, I mean, it's an amazing superpower. And all of these poses, especially this pigeon pose, really help for you to see how the sides are doing different things depending on what your body is doing, but they work together. So let that breath be full and deep. Even though that we are resting down, you're never completely releasing. If not in pigeon, you want to keep your girdles engaged. That is the point. You're trying to maintain that tolerance of uncomfortableness, not to the point of pain, but definitely to a lot of sensation. And the more you can deal, the more you can tolerate, then the stronger you're going to get, the more open you're going to get. Here's where you make the choice of how you want to reset. So now the reset is a little bit different, right? You want to come back and you do want to come into that position that lets you receive all of the wonderful benefits right there, right then, because really what's happening is you're receiving them and hopefully you're spending time to feel that, but not only are you receiving it and benefiting it right now, but those are getting deposited deep, 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 deep into your muscle memory. They're getting locked away into the vault of your muscles and tissues and tendons that you can unlock 50 years from now. It is something that you don't have to cash in right now. All right, so that being said, both sides, your sides might feel different. You might even do this pigeon on this other side a completely different way. You might choose to come into that pose on your back or seated. But whatever you're doing, you're trying to keep those front bodies square to the front of your space and those back bodies square to the back of your place. So if you even have to come back and see, where's my crack? You should always know where that is, and it should be pointing right behind you. And then let yourself, I use the whole chicken, right? I like to talk about your whole body. Your whole body matters. Not one part of your body matters more than the other. And if you learn to use your whole body from the crown of your head to the crack of your ass to the bottom of your feet, out the tips of your fingers and your nose, and feel it come from within that middle part, it is just amazing. It is magic. It is freeing, and there is serenity and grace and confidence that comes with that. So you do that by listening to your breath, inhaling and exhaling, staying connected to your true, authentic self, which is that of kindness, compassion, and love. No matter how many times you tell yourself you are evil, you are really not. Inhale and exhale. In fact, no one is born evil. People make choices, or they get caught up in whatever that doesn't allow them to step back. But when you step back and pause, it opens your awareness to what is going on all around you, and how a lot of it, some of it, maybe most of it, doesn't even have to do with you. Let yourself breathe deep and full. You're going to reset to the other side, no matter what it looks like. It can be back the same way or not. If you are on your back, that is where we are going next. So stay there. If you're in that child, rest in that child or whatever situation you're in, and then make your way to your back. You're always protecting yourself, never hurting yourself. You don't need to do anything really fancy to get down. It's just all about you staying connected to yourself and heavy in that back body and light in that front body, no matter what position you are in. Let those knees do those windshield wiper moves. You're in charge of how close they are. Let your upper body expand as much as it can, so you take up all that space, trying to even get deeper into the floor. That includes your shoulder blades, the tops of your shoulders, the back of your head. Try to keep your neck long by keeping your chin tucked. And only if your glutes can stay heavy, those hip flexors engaged, so you can protect that low back, do you lift up your feet. Because if it hurts to lift up your feet in your low back, you are not putting this move in your glutes. You're keeping it in your low back, and you want to give your low back that vacation move. And if for whatever reason it's just not working out, you can get some things going on with your feet. I mean, you can get pretty much the same sensations. Breathing full and deep, inhaling and exhaling. Your upper body still is lifting into that space. Your back body is still trying to bring you closer to the ground. Inhale and exhale. Bring those feet down. If you lifted them, we're going to do that clock. So I'll make the diamond with my hands. Thumbs are at the navel. First fingers are at the pubic bone, and then your palms are at your hip flexors, are close to that. Keep pressing that away and try. That's a clock. So navel 12, pubic bone 6, 9, and 3 are your hip flexors. You decide which way your clock is facing, and you are then moving in whatever position feels good. It helps to press into those feet and lift your lower body. Keep your shoulders down, your blades down, your chin tucked as you oscillate around. And it's subtle. I'm trying to be really obvious up here to show you. I want you to keep that lower pelvis, or it's not really lower, it's because the pelvis is lower. I want you to keep that hip girdle engaged as you lift and lower in your bridge. Keep pressing into your feet. Keep bringing those knees gently together, active but not touching, definitely not falling out. You can pause in your full on bridge. Whether you roll those shoulders under or not is up to you. Keep trying to bring that tail down to the backs of those legs. If you did roll under, make sure you remove so you roll down one vertebrae at a time. Keep that butt heavy. Keep pulling those hip flexors up. So that's the last thing. Your glutes are the last thing that come down, and you rock, circle, whatever feels good. Windshield wiper. You're taking care of you. Let those legs either lengthen down. Well, let's do that. Lengthen down, arms at your sides. This is where you are paying attention to what feels good in your body. Bend that right knee. That right foot is going to go to the inside of that left leg or the top of that left leg, just depending on how it feels in your body. And then jiggle onto that left hip, letting that right knee come across. Keep that right arm. That shoulder blade is connected. You can't see it, but it's back there. Inhale and exhale. And of course, you can modify this with both knees bent. And then bring yourself back through center. Same thing, other side. Make sure you are always protecting you. Try to keep this away from this happening from your low back. Try to have this twist at your middle back. That's what happens if you jiggle onto your hips so your hips can stay square. And then you just rotate your heart in the opposite direction as your navel. Inhale and exhale. And then back onto that neutral back. This is a great place to move into your happy baby. Keep those glutes super duper heavy if you do, because that helps to keep the move out of your low back and in the glutes, and it stretches the low back so you get that nourishment there, but not that wear down. And then let yourself move however feels good to you. If you want another twist, if you want to do a heart opener, take some time to do that. And then let yourself settle in to your relaxation. And you're going to take a few moments here to completely reset. I'm going to let you do that on your own. So hopefully you still have a few moments that you can take in order to settle in and let the work that we've done settle deep into your muscle memory. So like I said earlier, it's something that you can withdraw when you need it later in life. And if laying down does not feel comfortable, if you want to sit in meditation, please do that. All right, namaste. Thank you so much. And then after you settle in from doing whatever else you need to do, make sure that you layer up or have your layers near you. So
As you settle into relaxation, you can be comfortable. So take a moment to get comfortable. And if you don't want to lay down, sitting up, even sitting up, leaning against something or in a chair is totally still beneficial. But you definitely want to rest, so all of that work we've done can be reintegrated or be integrated into your muscle memory, so you can pull on it later when you need strength and resilience. You need to be able to get something done. So I will not let you be late for your next thing, but I will sit here and meditate for a few moments while you are in meditation, and then I will wake you so you can have that ending piece and then go on with your life. Slowly let your awareness come back to your breath. A little twitch in your fingers and your toes, and that gentle circling of your wrists and ankles. Take your time waking up. There's a bend in your knees and elbows, and then make sure you keep those girdles engaged to lift those feet if it feels good. Otherwise, just do a windshield wiper. And then let yourself roll to one side. Rest in that fetal-like position, that very first position you were ever in. And connect to that place behind your navel, that place that you started. And recognize there how you were born from kindness and compassion and love. And be grateful that you were born. And be grateful that you treated yourself to yoga. And when you're ready to press yourself up into that upright seated position, come to that place where you feel comfortable with your legs, wherever support you, so you have that nice base. And then lift yourself out of that base. Your hands can come to your heart. Your eyes can close. You can stay connected to your breath. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Please stay safe and healthy.